talks.
Yeah, sure. He's a friend of mine.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he will be meeting with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Hungary to discuss the war in Ukraine. Trump announced the meeting in a post on his social media platform Truth Social on Thursday. In his post, Trump shared that a high-level meeting involving his Secretary of State Marco Rubio will precede the summit meeting with Putin. The U.S. leader described the phone call as, quote, very productive and said a meeting could take place within 2 weeks.
I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive. But I'll be meeting with President Putin, and we'll make a determination. Tomorrow I'm meeting with President Zelensky, and I'll be telling him about the call. I mean, we have a problem. They don't get along too well, those two, and it's sometimes tough to have meetings, so we may do something where we're separate but equal.
The announcement arrived on the eve of Trump's third White House meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. The two leaders are expected to discuss on Friday ways to ramp up pressure on the Kremlin to end its almost 4-year invasion. The meeting between Trump and Putin, for which a date has yet to be set, would be the second time the pair convene since their last meeting in Alaska in August.
NATO and the EU are working on the formation of a so-called drone wall, which is key to Europe's future defence and deterrence capabilities. NATO's top military officer, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, or SACEUR, and NATO allies say the drone wall is urgent, given the growing spate of Russian jets and drones into several NATO countries' airspace, including Poland and Romania. NATO defence ministers met this week to discuss the drone wall, as well as how best to react to airspace violations. In addition, growing number of allies committed money to the newly formed Pearl initiative, designed for Europe and Canada to purchase weapons from the US to deliver to Ukraine. Colonel Martin O'Donnell, Chief Public Affairs Officer for NATO SACEUR, says protecting the eastern flank of Europe is the highest priority right now.
NATO, obviously, working with the EU, working with all allies, right, to shore up their air defenses all along the Eastern Front. And for the Supreme Allied Commander Europe, he views the Eastern Front not simply as those countries that border the East. He views that from the high north all the way down to the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea and beyond, and at depth. As the NATO Secretary General has said, we're all Eastern flank nations.
One of the issues coming into this meeting was how and whether to shoot down Russian jets or drones, that there wasn't a uniform rules of engagement. How has that changed or evolved during this few days?
So I think one of the most important things to mention is the fact that SACEUR, Supreme Allied Commander Europe, with all forces that are assigned to him, assigned to NATO, has the authorities at the moment to act. And we saw that with the incident in Poland and Estonia recently, where NATO had the authorities to and acted appropriately.
There's been a lot of reports that there's been quite a sudden and sharp decrease in military spending and military support for Ukraine amongst allies, over 40%. I mean, what's your response to that? Is that worrying, obviously, now coming into the winter?
There was momentum from all the nations on contributions, not just to per se bilateral contributions from a nation to Ukraine or multilateral contributions, but also for initiatives such as the Pearl or the prioritized Ukraine requirements list. Very, very good response. I believe you heard that from the Secretary General, right? More than half of NATO allies have expressed commitments to contribute. And I think we'll see here more announcements very, very soon.
Now, we know that Donald Trump is obviously going to make a decision on Friday about tomahawks and the use of tomahawks. But what's your own impression of the impact of this discussion?
Well, I think there's a number of things worldwide, right, that potentially make the movement towards peace more possible. We saw recent developments in the Middle East, right, that President Trump drove. We'll see what happens on Friday, and we'll see what happens from Friday.
In Lithuania, children are now learning how to build, program and fly drones. It comes in an effort by the country's defense ministry to prepare society to deter future threats from Russia. AirTech is a program that teaches young students how to use a drone simulator as well as how to assemble and operate a physical drone.
This is the track that I picked, and this is the controller. And when I press start, I need to go through these boxes, and finish the lab.
Further on in the course, students will be taught how to fly the drones through hoops suspended from the ceiling and positioned on the floor, and they will also have the opportunity to take part in drone races.
So I'm teaching how to fly drones, how to lift them, how to use them. We're learning how to race because we have first racing in October.
AirTag says the program is designed to teach children skills that may be useful in their future careers, as well as to interest them in the technology. The launch of the program follows a recent surge in drone incursions, allegedly Russian, into European airspace. Other Baltic nations, such as Estonia, have introduced similar initiatives.
The Greek Ministry of Environment and Energy is seeking to complete the tender to conduct hydrocarbon exploration missions in 4 new areas in Peloponnese and Crete by the end of the year. The Greek Energy Minister says they're awaiting a court's approval before it can be passed for a parliamentary vote in early 2026. Officials hope to begin exploration next year and expect missions to take 3 to 5 years to assess the availability of exploitable deposits.
Για αυτή την κυβέρνηση οι έρευνες υδρογονανθράκων είναι μια πολύ σημαντική προτεραιότητα. Ο στόχος μας είναι να διεκπαιρώσουμε τις διαδικασίες του διαγωνισμού όσο πιο γρήγορα γίνεται, έτσι ώστε να μπορέσουμε να φτάσουμε στο επόμενο στάδιο που θα είναι η πραγματική έρευνα στο πεδίο για να δούμε τι πραγματικά μπορεί να έχουμε στη χώρα, έτσι ώστε αν έχουμε κάτι αξιοποιήσιμο να μπορέσουμε να το εκμεταλλευτούμε για όφελος της χώρας και για το όφελος όλης της Ευρώπης. Άρα κινούμαστε πάρα πολύ γρήγορα για να προωθήσουμε και να κλείσουμε τις διαγωνιστικές διαδικασίες και ελπίζουμε πολύ σύντομα αυτό να έχει γίνει.
There are currently 8 active hydrocarbon exploration and production contracts in Greece, involving major investors such as ExxonMobil, Hellenic Energy, and Energean. The Prinos area is in the production phase, Katakolon is in the development phase, while 6 other areas are in the exploration phase. 3 marine areas in the Ionian Sea, 2 marine areas in Crete, and 1 onshore area, Ioannina, which is also in the most mature phase. Another important project that the Greek government is working on is the Greece-Cyprus electricity interconnection cable.
Έχουμε ένα συνεχή διάλογο με την κυβέρνηση της Κύπρου για τα διάφορα τεχνικά θέματα σε επίπεδο ρυθμιστών, τα οποία εμείς έχουμε εντοπίσει ως σημαντικά για να προωθηθεί το έργο. Είμαστε σε ένα πολύ καλό διάλογο. Είδαμε ήδη κάποιες ανακοινώσεις από την πλευρά της Κύπρου για την μεταφορά των αδειών στην ΑΔΜΕ. Ήταν μία από τις εκκρεμότητες τις οποίες είχαμε. Έχουμε και άλλα θέματα. Είμαστε σε ένα συνεχή διάλογο, έτσι ώστε να μπορέσουμε ένα-ένα να τα κλείσουμε για να μπορέσουμε να γεφυρώσουμε αυτό το κενό το οποίο είχε δημιουργηθεί πρόσφατα μεταξύ των δύο μερών σε αυτό το έργο.
The European Commission expects a commitment towards faster implementation of the electricity interconnection, noting that any further delay hurts all sides.
Αθήνα και Λευκοσία επιμένουν για τη σημασία του έργου στην κατοχύρωση της ενεργειακής ασφάλειας στην Ανατολική Μεσόγειο. Ωστόσο, τα σύννεφα γύρω από την υλοποίησή του έχουν πυκνώσει. Αυτή τη στιγμή είναι άγνωστο ποια θα είναι τα επόμενα βήματα και πώς θα γίνουν. Και αυτή η αβεβαιότητα προκαλεί τριβές στις ελληνοκυπριακές σχέσεις. Από την Αθήνα για το euronews, Φέη Δουλγέρη.
Scientists, archaeologists and museum curators, these defenders of European heritage were honored at the European Heritage Awards ceremony in Brussels. Europa Nostra and the European Commission awarded 30 people from 24 countries and handed out 5 Grand Prix awards.
It's really a mosaic that tells you how important heritage it is for communities and citizens, and how much extraordinary commitments, skills we have in Europe that are engaged in safeguarding and transmitting that heritage to the future generations.
One of the top prizes was given to curator Inge Bisgaard, who has dedicated her career to protecting Greenland's heritage, from traditional wooden architecture to 20th century expedition cabins. She notably studies the challenges posed by climate change.
The permafrost melting gives a lot of problems with especially buildings in remote area. And this way we are trying to make put more gravel on the houses so they come up and the water can come out.
The Norwegian glacial archaeology program, Secrets of the Ice, received the top prize in the research category. 6,000-year-old bow and arrows, prehistoric outfits, millennial skis. This team has discovered more than 4,500 objects preserved in ice, which stand witness to human civilization in this steep Arctic region of Norway.
Quite tough terrain.
People started to come to this area because of the reindeers. They moved from France to Norway, and then people settled down and starting to live from agriculture and also, of course, the hunting.
These scientists work against the clock as the thick layers of ice begin to thin.
But it's a paradox. It's the climate change that makes us find these unique artifacts. But we have to be there to collect them, otherwise they will be gone. They will be taken away in meltwater or blown away.
The public prize was awarded to the restoration of the Puerta de Alcalá in Madrid.
A distracted passenger wearing headphones in Turkey was saved in the last second from an approaching tram by an alert security guard. Security camera footage from the city of Kayseri shows the moment the guard notices the woman walking towards the tracks. He's seen grabbing her arm and pulling her back just as the tram passes by. The footage then shows the rescued woman thanking the guard by shaking his hand. The local transport authority, which shared the video, praised the guard's vigilance for preventing what it called a major upset.